You know how last season we talked about the Dallas Cowboys quietly pulling off some underrated offseason moves that ended up being real bargains. Well, it looked like history might just be repeating itself. This year, the front office has been busy again, and for what we've seen so far in training camp and the preseason, I think there are two names on the defensive side of the ball that deserve way more attention than they're getting. These aren't your flashy headline-grabbing signings, but they have all the makings of those moves we look back on a year or two from now and say, man, that was an absolute steal. Now, before anyone gets carried away and starts thinking I'm predicting the Cowboys just landed to all pro defenders for pocket change, let's set the right expectations. The beauty of these additions is that Dallas didn't have to risk much to get them, yet the potential upside is huge. The first player I want to dive into is a name that might raise some eyebrows. Carrie Ellum. Yes, the same Carrie Ellum who entered the league as a first-round pick for the Buffalo Bills, out of Florida, but never quite found his groove up there. The Bills moved on after some underwhelming seasons, and the Cowboys swooped in, giving up next to nothing in what basically amounted to a late-round pick swap. No blockbuster trade, no high-priced free agent bidding war, just a calculated gamble on a talented corner who needed a change of scenery, and honestly, from the moment he arrived in Dallas, it's looked like that change might be exactly what he needed. In camp and in the preseason, Ellum has been sharp, confident, and consistently making plays. We've all seen what happens when a corner's confidence starts to slip. It can spiral fast. But here, it feels like the coaching staff has found a way to get him back to playing instinctive football. When Darren Bland was sidelined, Ellum stepped up as the clear number one corner, and he didn't look out of place doing it. He's not out there just trying to survive. He's competing, challenging receivers, and bringing a little bit of that swagger you need to play on the outside. Back when he was coming out of Florida, I had Ellum graded right around the range he ended up being drafted, so it's not like his talent was ever in question. The problem in Buffalo might have been a mix of scheme fit, early mistakes shaking his confidence, and maybe just not clicking with the environment. But in Dallas, surrounded by a strong secondary and a coaching staff that's letting him play to his strengths, he's showing signs that he can be more than just a depth piece. And here's the key. The Cowboys don't need him to be a superstar. They don't need him to suddenly transform into a Deion Sanders. If he can simply be a solid, reliable starter, or even a serviceable CB2 relative to what they paid to get him, that's a massive win. Think about it. Dallas essentially spent the same kind of draft capital to trade for Ellum as they did to draft Eric Scott Jr., who's already out of the league. If you could get starting caliber production for that price, it's the definition of value right now. With injuries to key players like Trayvon Diggs and others still working their way back, Ellum has a real opportunity to become a crucial piece of this defense. The bar for improvement at that position isn't sky high, just be better than some of the depth the Cowboys have rolled out in recent years, but his ceiling is far higher than that now. The second name I want to talk about is a player I was pounding the table for during draft season, Donovan Esaku out of Boston College. This kid came in as a second-round pick, but I had him mocked in the late first more than once because his tape jumped off the screen. The Cowboys clearly saw the same thing because they pounced when he was still on the board. At pick 44, for me, that was one of the best value selections of the entire second round across the league. Esaku's production in college was impressive. 16.5 sacks last season, over 60 pressures, and the kind of burst and bend off the edge that makes offensive tackles sweat. He's not just a speed rusher either. He can set the edge and hold his ground against the run. That's something you could already see flashes of in his limited preseason action. Against the Rams, he only logged 17 snaps, but he still managed to stand out with one pressure and a few solid run defense reps. That's exactly what you want to see from a rookie in August. Impact without needing to be on the field for 40 snaps. To show it long-term, I think Esaku has the potential to develop into the kind of pass rusher who can consistently hit high single-digit sack totals, maybe even push into double digits in his prime. His frame, athleticism, and production profile remind me a bit of Harold Landry coming out of Boston College, another guy who needed a little time to ramp up but turned into a consistent threat. In the NFL, the Cowboys' defensive line rotation is already strong, with Micah Parsons commanding double teams, Dante Fowler bringing veteran pressure, and guys like Sam Williams rotating in. That means Esaku won't have to carry the load right away. but he'll still get those key pass rush reps where the offense can't double him without paying for it somewhere else. From a team-building perspective, these are exactly the types of moves that keep a roster competitive without constantly needing to swing big in free agency. You take a low-risk flyer on a talented corner who hasn't lived up to his draft slot elsewhere, and you draft a high-upside pass rusher earlier than some teams might have, but still in a range where the value is hard to argue. If even one of them hits big, you're in great shape. If both of them pan out, you've added the starting level defenders for the cost of a late-round pick swap and a mid-second-round selection. That's the kind of efficient roster management championship teams pull off. Of course, none of this is guaranteed. Ellum still has to prove he can translate his preseason form into regular season consistency, and Esaku needs to develop that go-to-pass rush move that all great edge defenders have. But early signs are encouraging, and with the defensive coaching staff Dallas has in place, the environment is right for both players to grow. We've seen it happen before with other under-the-radar additions. Sometimes the change of setting, the right scheme, and the right locker room culture make all the difference. So, as we gear up for the start of the 2025 season, keep an eye on number 1 in the secondary and number 97 on the defensive line. They might not be the first names you think of when you talk about the Cowboys' defensive stars, but by the end of the year, they could be 2 of the reasons this defense takes another step forward. And if that happens, we'll all be looking back at this offseason thinking the same thing. Wow, they really pulled it off again. The more I think about it, the more these two moves feel like the kind of calculated gambles that only really make sense if you know exactly what you're looking for in a player. The Cowboys didn't go after Carrie Ellum just because he was a former first-round pick, and those are shiny objects in the football world. They went after him because his skill set matches what this defense asks its corners to do: press, disrupt timing, compete through the catch point, and have the confidence to line up one-on-one without constant safety help. That's not something every corner is wired for, and if you watched Ellum at Florida, you saw a player who thrived when he could get physical early in the route and force receivers to adjust. In Buffalo, the system didn't necessarily maximize that. In Dallas, under this staff, they're telling him, get up in the receiver's face, make it ugly, make it uncomfortable, and he's responding. What really stands out is how quickly he's picked up the communication and chemistry with the rest of the secondary. Training camp reports talked about him directing traffic, passing off routes smoothly, and even mentoring some of the younger guys despite being new himself. That's the kind of presence you don't expect from a player who's trying to rebuild his own career. But it speaks to how comfortable he feels here when a quarterback plays with that kind of clarity, knowing his job, trusting the guys next to him. It's amazing how much more aggressive he can be. He's breaking on the ball faster, challenging windows that last year he might have given up, and it's showing in the number of pass breakups he's racked up in practices and scrimmages. The confidence factor can't be overstated. Cornerback is a position where the line between being a shutdown defender and a liability is razor thin. You can play great coverage for 58 snaps, give up one big play, and that's all people remember. If you don't have that short memory and that almost irrational belief that you're the best player on the field, you won't last long. The Cowboys are giving Ellum every chance to find that swagger again, and when Trayvon Diggs returns, imagine the ripple effect. Bland in the slot, Diggs locking down one side, Ellum holding his own on the other. Suddenly, quarterbacks have to think twice before they let it fly outside the numbers. Then there's Donovan Esaku, who brings a completely different kind of energy to the defense. While Ellum's job is to erase opportunities, Esaku's job is to create chaos. And this defense thrives on chaos. The Cowboys already have one of the most feared pass rushers in the league in Micah Parsons. But football is all about matchups. When an offensive line knows exactly where the pressure is coming from, they can slide protections, chip with tight ends, and keep running backs into help. When you add someone like Esaku into the rotation, you force offenses to make impossible choices. One of the most exciting parts about Esaku's game is how versatile he is as a rusher. At Boston College, he wasn't just a guy who won with speed around the edge, though he's got plenty of that. He could also hit inside counters, convert speed to power, and work his hands to disengage when blockers try to ride him past the pocket. That's rare for a player coming into the league at his age. Usually, rookies rely on one or two moves they've been winning with since college, and it takes time to build a full arsenal. For Esaku, the biggest step now is figuring out which move becomes his calling card, the one he can go to when it's 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter and the game's on the line. I've been particularly impressed with how quickly he's adapted to the Cowboys' defensive line culture. Dan Quinn built a room full of relentless, high-motor players who don't take plays off. And while Quinn is gone now, that mentality remains. Esaku fits right in. He plays through the whistle, chases plays down from the backside, and doesn't seem to get discouraged if he's stonewalled early in a rush. That effort shows up on film, and it's the kind of thing that earns you more snaps, especially for a rookie. The fit alongside Parsons is fascinating. Micah commands so much attention that anyone lining up opposite him gets more one-on-one opportunities than they would almost anywhere else. We've seen guys like Randy Gregory, Dorrance Armstrong, and Sam Williams benefit from that in recent years. Esaku could be the next in that line, but with a higher ceiling because of his raw tools. His burst off the line is explosive enough to threaten the edge immediately, which forces tackles to overset and opens the door for inside moves. Combine that with his ability to dip and flatten toward the quarterback, and you've got a rookie who can win in multiple ways. Another factor that shouldn't be overlooked is how the Cowboys manage their defensive front rotations. They love to keep fresh legs in the game, which means Esaku won't be asked to play 70 snaps a week. Instead, he'll be in situations designed for him to succeed: obvious passing downs, clear edge rush opportunities, and spots where the offense can't easily account for him without sacrificing somewhere else. That's how you get early impact from a rookie pass rusher without overloading him. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Esports world is buzzing with what could be one of the most intriguing moves of the NFL offseason. Wagner, the veteran linebacker known for his ferocious tackling and exceptional leadership, is reportedly set to sign with the Dallas Cowboys. While official confirmation has yet to come from the organization, multiple sources close to the situation claim the deal is imminent, with Wagner eager to bring his trademark defensive intensity to a team already hungry for playoff glory. Rumors began swirling late last night after a photograph allegedly showing Wagner meeting with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy surfaced online, sending fans into a frenzy. Although some skeptics argue it might simply be a friendly visit, insiders insist that discussions have advanced beyond preliminary talks. Wagner's presence in the locker room could be exactly what Dallas needs to solidify its defensive identity, especially considering the struggles and inconsistency at the linebacker position over recent seasons. His 8 Pro Bowl appearances, Super Bowl championship experience, and deep knowledge of defensive schemes make him a natural candidate to command the middle of the field. If this deal becomes official, it could mark a turning point for the Cowboys' ambitions in the NFC. For Dallas, adding Wagner would be more than just acquiring a talented player. It would be securing a proven leader who has the ability to elevate those around him. Several unnamed players have reportedly expressed excitement about the possibility, hinting that Wagner's leadership style could blend seamlessly with team captain Micah Parsons' youthful energy. The Cowboys' defense, while explosive in pass rush and opportunistic in turnovers, has often been criticized for lapses in discipline and vulnerability against the run. Wagner's arrival could address those weaknesses head-on, bringing both structure and accountability to the unit. Whispers from within the organization suggest that defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, who coached Wagner during his early career in Seattle, has been quietly pushing for the move behind the scenes. The familiarity between coach and player could make for a smooth transition, enabling Wagner to take on a coaching-like role on the field from day one. Critics will argue that age might be a concern for a player entering his 12th NFL season, but supporters counter that his football IQ, conditioning, and veteran savvy more than compensate for any loss in raw athleticism. The Cowboys front office, known for making bold statements, might see Wagner's addition as both a tactical upgrade and a powerful message to the league. Speculation around the contract terms has added another layer to the unfolding drama. Reports suggest Wagner might be willing to take a slightly team-friendly deal to join a contender, a move that would free up cap space for Dallas to address other roster needs. This possibility has fueled chatter about a potential domino effect, with the Cowboys exploring secondary signings to further reinforce their defense. The prospect of pairing Wagner's field vision with the speed and versatility of Parsons has analysts already sketching out defensive alignments that could smother even the most high-powered offenses. Yet some voices caution that chemistry cannot be assumed, and the pressure to perform immediately could backfire if expectations become unrealistic. Despite that, the atmosphere around the Cowboys training facility is reportedly charged with optimism, with staffers preparing hypothetical playbooks featuring Wagner as the centerpiece of defensive communication off the field. Marketing executives are already envisioning the promotional appeal of a proven champion wearing the star on his helmet. Whether these rumors solidify into reality or fade into the archive of offseason what-ifs, the possibility of Wagner's arrival is dominating sports radio, social media debates, and barbershop conversations across Texas and beyond. In Seattle, the potential departure of Wagner has stirred mixed emotions. While many Seahawks fans understand that the NFL is a business, there's an undeniable sadness in watching a franchise legend potentially suit up for another team, especially one as polarizing as the Cowboys. Wagner's legacy in the Pacific Northwest is cemented: 8 Pro Bowls, multiple All-Pro honors, and a central role in the Legion of Boom era that delivered the city its first Super Bowl. However, insiders in Seattle's front office have quietly acknowledged that the team is shifting toward a youth movement, prioritizing cap flexibility and long-term building blocks. If Wagner does finalize a deal with Dallas, it could be seen as both a strategic win for the Cowboys and a bittersweet but pragmatic decision for the Seahawks. The fact that the Cowboys are reportedly offering him a central leadership role, as opposed to a rotational spot, may have sealed the appeal. There's also the allure of joining a franchise with immense media exposure where every game feels like a national stage. Still, the thought of Wagner wearing silver and blue instead of navy and neon green is something that will take time for fans in Seattle to fully process. As the days tick by without official confirmation, the rumor mill shows no signs of slowing. Each small development, whether it's a cryptic social media post from Wagner, a leaked report from an anonymous source, or the sighting of a star player visiting Dallas, feeds into the growing belief that this union will happen. If it does, the implications could be far-reaching. The Cowboys would gain a defensive quarterback capable of diagnosing plays before the snap and adjusting teammates accordingly, while Wagner would have the chance to chase another championship in a system tailored to his strengths. On the flip side, if negotiations collapse, it could ignite a fresh wave of speculation about Dallas' backup plans and Wagner's next move. Regardless of the outcome, the story reflects the fascinating intersection of talent, timing, and team identity that defines NFL roster building. The idea of Bobby Wagner commanding the Cowboys linebackers is one that excites some, terrifies others, and captivates nearly everyone paying attention. For now, all that remains is to watch, wait, and wonder whether this high-profile rumor will evolve into one of the most talked-about signings of the season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.